a sage is not a sage because he has written or invented a really cool story. A sage is considered a sage because he knows a bunch of cool stories that have already been told, right? So this is kind of the secondary ideas. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what this video is about. It's the appreciation of secondary ideas. Greetings, this is Eugene the Philosopher, the greatest living philosopher after the unfortunate passing of Quentin Robert de Nijmland, who has been the greatest living philosopher before me. In this video, I want to appreciate secondary ideas, and what do I mean by that, we'll see in a minute, okay? So, we thinkers, meaning, okay, any creative people actually, are constantly kind of anxious about being secondary. We want to have our own thing, you know, our own unique style, our own unique idea, our own unique scientific theory, like whatever it is you're into. But I would say that repeating others' things, ideas, and theories is fine, actually. It's of course cool if you can come up with one of your own, but it's not really necessary, you might say. Of course, like it feels good, like almost like eating your own food, right? The food that you have grown personally, like it has a certain, you know, very pleasant tint to it. However, every person rather, have similar experience, you know, we all get born, we all grow up, we all fall in love, we all, I don't know, get a job and die, you know, something, grow old and die, etc., etc. So everyone has pretty similar experience, so ideas and theories and artistic creations are similar as well, alright? Of course, the context may differ because the cultures are different, etc., etc. But then again, speaking about original ideas, you know, if an original idea is written in a 200 years old book that only, you know, vague scholars, some obscure book, you know, kind of, that only vague scholars know, then it's irrelevant for society anyway. So who cares if it's original or not, right? And if it's unoriginal, but it's have been repeated and people appreciated it again, then it means it's still relevant, all right? It's still worth repeating. So this is my kind of the point of this video, is that you shouldn't shy away of, or whatever is the proper verb, of the secondary ideas, because they are just as good as the original ideas, really. I mean, look at it this way, like, there is this phrase, reinventing the wheel, right? And I keep saying that it's fine to reinvent the wheel in some of my previous videos because, well, the wheel is a good thing, right? So, why don't we use it even if it's not original anymore, right? We use the wheels, obviously, etc., to keep the wheel rolling, so to speak, to keep the metaphorical wheel of the civilization rolling, because the civilization needs fuel. And this fuel needs to be constantly provided, and this fuel is creativity, right? So what's the civilization in a nutshell? It's a gathering of people around the campfire, right? But somebody has to throw firewood into the campfire to keep it, you know, to keep it aflame. So that's what I mean, and those are the secondary ideas. Those are it's basically the same ideas told again and again and again, every evening, every night, you know. We keep retelling the same stories, you know, the oral history, the legends and the myths and things like that. Like, Greeks kept telling the same stories over and over and never got tired of it, and look at their civilization. I mean, watch my video about Europe, right? We're still kind of Greeks' children in this sense, right? So yeah, there is no such thing as secondary creativity in this sense. There is no such thing as a secondary firewood. The firewood needs to be supplied constantly to the campfire to keep it alive, so to speak. So if the thought is worth anything, really, it is worth repeating, just like the fire of the civilization is worth being renewed again and again and again. And if the thought is not worth repeating anymore, or is not worth anything anymore, rather, it would simply not be heard or understood anymore, even if you repeat it, all right? So repeating is never bad, essentially. That's what I'm saying. And it is irrelevant at worst, okay? But it's never bad. It could be good, actually very good. Incredibly good sometimes, right? And think of it the other way, about the original ideas or theories or artistic concepts. Like a completely new original idea may be completely ignored because, again, no one understands it. Watch my video, the old one about pseudoscience, where I talk about this book of Stanislav Lem about this new Ilias, New Odyssey, whatever he calls it, where the guy is on the quest of finding the ultimate genius, like the most original thinker, and he concludes that the most original thinkers never get understood even. So yeah, they're probably in our mental institutions, right? So, or consider this, even worse may happen. People may think they understand your like ultimate original idea, and they would run with it and do all kinds of crazy stuff with it, all right? The stuff you never intended, you never insert in your idea, because again, people thought they understand you, but in reality they probably didn't, right? Because the original, the idea was so original again, or at least, you know, thanks to that in a lot of ways. So yeah, again, examples would be Nietzsche, an Austrian painter, right? Things like that. And speaking about repetition, right? Keeping the fire of civilization burning, like inventing like purely original stuff, or like, let's say, well, at least like 20% original stuff, right? Some sort of like decent progress would be kind of discovery, research, right? This sort of activity. But there is another activity that is very needed for society to thrive, and it is teaching, right? Somebody has to repeat all the ideas that have already been discovered to younger generation, and perhaps to ignorant masses, well, masses is a bad word in this context, to people who somehow missed these original ideas previously, let's put it this way. So teaching is a big part of culture, right? Arguably even bigger than the discovery part itself. So, and what is teaching? It's essentially kind of rediscovering the same thing over and over and over and over. Like today you're teaching the 7th grade, next year you would be teaching the 7th grade again, etc. And you discover these ideas with them again and again and again and again. And it's needed, obviously. I mean, who would argue it's not? I mean, you can argue what forms of teaching would be more appropriate, more effective, more blah, 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 but nobody argues against teaching per se, I think. Again, watch the examples of our earliest civilizations where people literally just gathered around the campfire and told stories, and this is teaching, right? And again, returning to the point of the video itself, like a sage is not a sage because he has written or invented a really cool story. A sage is considered a sage because he knows a bunch of cool stories that have already been told, right? So this is kind of the secondary ideas. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what this video is about. It's the appreciation of secondary ideas. So both, if you wish, research or discovery and learning or teaching probably discovery and teaching would be different jobs, very different ones indeed, but they're both needed for civilization to thrive. They both have their pluses and minuses, just as we've indicated previously. Well, in particular, minuses of secondary ideas would be obviously like terrible anxiety that the person would feel, oh, I'm so unoriginal, I'm so worthless, I'm useless. Like the usual, mental state of any artist, really, in between of periods of, kind of sort of peak productivity, let's put it this way, right? Yeah, so both sides, both originality and unoriginality have their positive and negative sides. But secondary ideas are often, I think, not given enough credit. Like just a repetition of the same ideas, and like I've mentioned this, like growing your own food, right? Well, think about it this way. This is kind of what I'm doing on this channel a lot. I feel like I'm just rediscovering other people's ideas, but I think they're my own because I've never read them anywhere, or at least I don't think I did. But I'm pretty damn sure that most of the ideas I give on this channel are secondary. Like somebody have told them already, but I'm just too ignorant to know about it. Right? So, yeah, and I'm just kind of happy when I discover them. So yeah, even if they're secondary, like who cares? Like it's still good, okay? Like it's still worth it. It's still worth retelling, in the evening at the campfire, when we have our dinner and, you know, whatever, exchange our experience. I think this is kind of beautiful, actually. This is what civilization is all about. And this is why we need it, and this is why we appreciate it, I think. So, yeah. Anyways, this video was intended to be an appreciation of what we may call unoriginal ideas, all right? And my point is, you shouldn't be ashamed of them. You should appreciate them. This is great. It's like, okay, today I will eat chicken. So tomorrow I can't eat chicken. Like a week later, I can't eat chicken anymore. Is it became bad suddenly? Somehow? Like what? You should think about it this way, I think. All right. Or think about it even this way. Okay, you've eaten chicken. What, does it mean that nobody else can eat chicken or something? Like, is it suddenly not original anymore? Whatever. I mean, okay. Well, I can probably bring up like 100 of other metaphors, but I would stop here. And, well, I may leave you with sort of like a motivational exercise, right? To appreciate just how unique you are even through repetition of something else. So, even if you try, the thing is, if you're this sort of creative person, like an artist or a thinker or a scientist even if you try to copy something perfectly, something that the other person has done, you wouldn't be able to. That's kind of the most peculiar point. So what I'm proposing is to own it, essentially. You know, again, remembering Picasso, who said, good artists copy, great artists steal. And again, I've stolen this quote from Picasso himself, right? What does stealing mean in this context? Well, it's just making your own, right? Owning it. So yeah, in possibly more than one sense, okay? So there's an exercise you may try if you wish, if you feel like it. It wouldn't be anything like magical, but it will be kind of fun. So you may take something that is well known and thus, I mean, some piece from the area you're active in, and thus is probably still relevant because it's still known, and try to consciously copy it. And by consciously, I mean kind of like, if I was the author, what would I have done differently? Like, what would be my take on this, like, general framework of a thing, all right? But you may copy as many elements as you wish. Like, you have total freedom in this sense. And it's pretty cool. Try it. You'll see what I mean. Thank you for watching. The eons are closing. If you wish to support me, please consider joining my Patreon. That is patreon.com/philosopher. See the link in the description. Or if you have a scientific theory of your own and you'd like my help in developing it, please join my alternative science coaching program, also available through Patreon.